Are we live? Here we go. Hi, this is Thad Wittenberg with Kitchen and Bath Global Partners and Cabs Software coming to you live from Warsaw, Poland. I don't know how I ended up here. I think I took the wrong turn on the Jersey Turnpike, but it's good that I landed here. Today we've got the Kitchen and Bath Adventure channel, and we're going to be focused on process improvement. This stuff is awesome. We're already working with a lot of customers to help streamline a lot of their businesses, and we've brought some special guests that have started a couple years ago. Some just starting recently, and then Santiago, who heads up the Traction EOS program, to help companies start incorporating the EOS traction process improvement system within their business, which is pretty exciting. So obviously, we always got to make this crew look better, which means we've got to invite Rodney. So he brightens things up. Rodney from Triumph up there is going to be joining us.
Hey, glad to be here.
Right. And then on the other end of the spectrum and lighting up this screen is Steve. Just kidding, Steve. And Steve with Stephen's Kitchens down in just outside Orlando. And his team started, I think, last spring, roughly, into the traction. I mean, we really didn't start getting heavy in until recently, but they're already making a lot of inroads and doing some really cool stuff. So I wanted to invite them on board and just bounce around some of the things that have been going on with it, like some of the amazing results. I'm not just saying that. You're going to see some of this stuff, actually hear what they've been doing. But before we hop into that, you may be wondering, first of all, Steve, do you want to say something? I'm sorry, I skipped that part. I'm so excited.
No, I'm glad to be here. I'm not in Poland, though, right?
No, you're not, Steve. You're in your own world. You
yes.
Remember that. We talked about this.
Well, glad to be here today. This is very exciting.
Awesome. Great. Thanks for taking the time to do it, Steve. And Rodney, you have anything to say?
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. Excited we're really global this time. So living up to that. I love it.
Yeah. And we're going to continue. We opened our first location up in Nova Scotia. So this will be the next one. But here we're really focused on doing some good things first. So with that said, I want to tell you a little bit about how I ended up here. Our dev team we've been working with for 4 or 5 years with cabs. And, there's obviously been a lot of changes in this region recently and for a while. Not all good, but we're trying to get it back on a good track. So I came over just to visit them and just, for support, make sure everything was going okay, talk about what we want to do in the future, kind of bring the focus to that. So while I was here, I was staying at the hotel and you see people in and out of there. And I just started hearing some of the most amazing conversations. I mean, the hotel was just booming with activity because there's so many people who have been displaced here that Poland's been number one in absorbing all these people, not only from, Poland, but a lot of other different places around here too. And people are just coming here. I saw a lot of folks from the United States that have Ukrainian background. They just came over, right? They're just here and they're trying to do everything they can to get down to the border and drop, whether it's clothing, medicine, food. I mean, all that stuff's in dire need. And they're here on the ground level. They just bought themselves a ticket and came.
Wow.
I know. So cool. Last night, I was sitting with a guy who's from Haymarket in Virginia, which is 30 minutes from where I live. He showed up to help. Then there's another guy, 2 guys, and they came down from, it's called, I think, Rock Point, England. It's supposed to be the Vegas of UK, whatever that means. But these guys have they do production films and stuff. And they just decided they were going to get a whole bunch of donations together from up in that area. And they loaded them all in a truck and drove all the way down here, dropped them off on the border. I'm sitting there talking to these guys on both ends. And I was like, so when are you leaving? They're like, we're leaving tomorrow morning. We're making another run. I was like, really? And then the other guy goes, is your truck full? And he's like, no, we got some room in this one. He's like, I got a bunch of stuff, more donations, medicine down in my truck. Would you mind if we load it in and you take it in? He's like, no, but let's do it.
Wow.
I'm seeing this all go around. Like they're doing stuff. They're doing stuff. And then, of course, I'm sitting there going, oh, no. What am I doing?
Mm-hmm.
I can't, I seen what's happening. It's terrible. And you're living it and you see all these people around here. I was like, I'm here for a reason. I landed here. All these things that happened while I was here led me to make a big decision for me, something I've never done in my life. And I was like, look, all these people, they don't have all the skills to pick up jobs because the Ukraine is just getting decimated. They said they're going to lose 80% of their infrastructure. So these people they don't want to not work forever until everything's rebuilt.
Mm-hmm.
So I just decided we're going to build a learning center here. I figured out the name. I don't even know how to pay for it. I think I've hired 20 people. I don't know. Seriously, you're hired. I was like, I'll find the money. Just, we'll work it out. Don't worry. You're going to be taken care of. I just want you to help me build this thing. They're all like, yeah. The guy from Haymarket's like, dude, I'm a project manager. Can I help? I was like, yeah, of course, you're hired. He goes, great. Anything else. But he's on board. And so I don't know. It's just, I've never felt something that was just so powerful within me to I don't mean like this. I just meant wow, this is such a great opportunity to actually be here and help. And I made a commitment to some of those people. I was like, I'm not leaving. I was already supposed to be lying. I was like, I'm not leaving here until we started this thing and got it on, and I'll run home, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to spend time here helping build this thing until it's done. I want to make this one of the best training centers around. I'm going to reach out to companies that have augmented reality training because it's 4 times more effective and we can get more people through. And what we want to do is build their skill sets up and then have them have the opportunity to go to jobs around Europe, like I said earlier, so they can start making money, get some normalcy to their life, whatever they have to do. Yeah. And, talking to one, I was like, how many people are going to show up here that are women with kids, their husbands stay behind, and they not make it? And what are they going to do? That's the left of their country. These single moms around here. I was like, not on my watch. I was like, I want to get those people trained. I want to give them everything they possibly can to try to get their lives back on track. Anyway, so the last thing I have to say about this, I want to take up the shows. This was completely out of the blue. And you'll hear more about it. Rodney's already, volunteered to spend a couple of years over here with me. Get this. I'm just teasing, but I'll get him over here one way or the other. I'm putting pressure from the internet on him. So and then Steve's coming after that because we need a band here, to get the music going.
Oh yeah, I'll liven up the party. Don't worry.
You're in charge of entertainment, Steve. So we're counting on you. But so I'm coming from one hotel back to my hotel, and I'm just overwhelmed by this feeling of, oh my God, I am going to do this. I have to do it. And I don't know if you guys can see the sign, whether it came up, whether we got that ready. I don't know if I can see it on this screen. Is it up right now? There it is.
Oh yeah, the slideshow. Yep.
Yes. So I'm riding in the back of a cab with my head just looking out the window, just thinking what's going on here? And I look out in this empty park, and this is what I read. All the things that could happen next. I was, okay, well, that's pretty much sealed the deal. There's a sign in English in this park, bright red at nighttime that I'm driving by. I was like, okay, this is done. And
Wow.
ever since, I'm starting the process of pulling things together, and I don't know, it's really going to be cool. And again, I don't want to take up the show about this, but I know there's a lot of people at home that are wondering what's going on here. A lot of people want to try to help. We may have to try to find a building that needs renovation. I know we're in the kitchen and bath industry, but I don't have any of those details. This is like happened the last 2 days. So I'll keep everybody posted, and it's just been a great experience for me. So I don't know if you guys have any questions before we move into the process stuff, or
how far are you from Ukraine?
I think we're about 2.5 hours, 2.5 to 3 hours north of there.
Okay.
That's how long they said to get down there to drop off all the donations. So it's not that far.
Yeah. Wow. That's close.
Yeah. We're like, are you sure you want to be here? I was like, what? Are you asking me whether I'm going to leave? Like these people? I was like, no way. I'd stay here. I don't care what happens.
Wow.
Like what happens if everybody runs and leaves them here? That's not going to be any better. Anyway,
so what made you decide to go to Poland again?
I decided like 2 weeks ago. Like, I don't know. It's just like, oh, I got to get over there and see the dev team, because they kind of just got here and got set up. And I was like, I just want to get there and show support. And now I apparently stayed for a while. So, hey, we got a visitor. Do we have another person on the show, Rodney? Hi, what's your name? Oh, she's already gone?
She's gone already.
All right. She could have been one of our key speakers today. So anyway, hey, go ahead, Rodney.
I was going to say she definitely could have been.
Yeah, probably the one with the highest level of intelligence about the subject we have today. So what I'm really excited to talk about today is traction, which we've started incorporating within our company. Rodney actually started before us, and I heard all the amazing things it was doing for him. Once we got involved, I was working with Steve down at Stevens, and then we started there. And now actually we're pulling dealer groups together with manufacturers and hopefully fabricators, and they all meet throughout a year. And the whole idea is, you look in the kitchen and bath industry, we know we're kind of lacking in efficiencies because there's so much manual work to be done, rework, and there's not a lot of metrics, KPIs in place. So it's really hard to improve your business until you have those things in place. And then all bets are off. You can do anything you want. But Rodney, why don't we start with you, since you've been in it the longest, and maybe you can share like how the whole journey was for you, like when you first got in, what your thoughts were to where you are now.
Oh yeah, for sure. Man, it's been a couple years since we've been working with Traction. Really like the program a lot. We were working with a coach, Santiago, and he was like, hey, check out this program. I think you're going to like it. It'll help really clarify and bring your company to the next level, what we've been looking to do. But the system and the language that it uses makes sense, and everybody will understand it. So that was kind of the main intrigue. And then, the first day was all about like creating a vision, coming up with our core values, who we are as a company. And honestly, that was a really hard day. So I think we started off really strong. Then we kind of were stagnant for a while. So if anybody's out there doing Traction and that happened to you, I think that's kind of normal in a way. I don't want to say like, oh, it's okay, don't try to be better. But there's so much processing that has to go on as a business owner to make sure you're going in the right direction, to make sure you have the right core values. For us, we had 7, 8, 9 core values. I don't remember exactly the number, but we narrowed it down to 4. And it really took us almost a full day to hash those out. Are these the right core values for us? And now we know they are: relationships, experience, integrity, and optimism. And those 4 core values speak to who we are as a company and who we are as all of our employees, and then how that helps us to engage our customers as well. So it's really been a big foundation for us moving forward. And, numbers wise, we're probably up, I would say probably close to 50% growth since we started using Traction. And we have, as I call, the big, hairy, audacious goal to get crazy, the BHAG. So we're really looking forward to growing more in the future.
Wow. I mean, that's amazing. And I think you're a testament to what these can do for a business. Like, I think a lot of people are sitting there like, how do you manage 50% growth?
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Right.
we're having a hard time right now. It's like, well, I think the idea is as you build all the infrastructure and the systems and the processes, that allows you to scale up and become more productive. Everybody's like, just add people, just add people. I was like, it's okay to hire people, but if the current people are spending 40% of their time doing rework, why don't we start there? And it's not just rework that has an impact on productivity, but it's more stress for them because they're dealing with, hey, you got your coworker back there again, Rodney.
Yeah.
And then also the customer experience, because when you're having all these issues and things are chaotic, it has an impact on them. It can't not. And so the other thing I like about that cultural thing that you said, like so many companies haven't sat down and truly said, this is what we're about as people. Yeah. This is the common beliefs. This is the type of companies we want to work with. We want to make sure there's alignment with this. And so that the customers or suppliers have a real clear vision of what we're about. All those things that you mentioned.
Yeah, definitely. Target market, all of those type of things, just having a clearer focus. And honestly, I think what really got you excited about it, Thad, I was talking to you one day and I remember I was on the beach in Florida and you're like, okay, what are you doing? Like, I need to know more. That's really what sold you.
It did. I was like, last time I had a bad experience at the beach. It had to do with a harpooner out there. There was some misunderstanding, when I rolled up on the beach, but I would like to go back. No, the serious with protection. But the cool thing was I'm running around like a crazy man, trying to do stuff. Rodney's business is running great, and he's sitting on the beach. I was like, that doesn't sound half bad. I mean, I think everybody is so stressed right now, right? There are all these hours they're putting in, and they don't get a chance to enjoy life, which is what it's all about.
Yeah.
And I think when you can bring all these processes and system to bear, like to be able to use them, it starts to free you up to do things in life that you should be doing now, not later on.
Right. Exactly.
Right. And this is one of the things that when Steve and I first started talking and we had this conversation, about working together, he's like, Thad, every Monday I come in and like, I'm just faced with this stuff. And, he built his own business. I mean, ground up, just decided, here's what I'm going to do. What was that, 8 years ago, Steve? Something like that?
About 12 years ago.
Oh, well, this is because we're on television. It's okay to add 4. I do that all the time.
Let's say 8.
I'm sorry.
Let's say 8. It makes me look younger.
Well, I was talking about how many years your business was legit. So we can do, no, I'm just kidding, Steve. But wasn't the conversation really, Steve, that you wanted to do this so that you could start spending time doing some of the stuff you wanted to instead of being chained to the business all the time?
Definitely. The old saying that you've heard time and time again, you want to work on the business instead of in the business. And for so many years, I've been working in the business. And now since I've got involved with that and Traction, I could see a light at the end of the tunnel. And there is a way to start working on the business. Another great thing that's happened since we've incorporated this is my staff has really gained momentum. I have a great group of people here, and it's it's excited them. They want to be part of it. They want to do things. For years I had this business with several employees, and I'd be lucky if I had one meeting every 6 months with staff meeting. But now since we've started Traction, we have our weekly meetings, and everybody gets very excited, and we come up with new plans and ideas to make things work better, and we solve problems, and we do it together.
Wow.
We all get on the same page. It's great.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
awesome. And Steve, one thing I would ask you, because it like work anytime you're starting to work with a company, right? And you know they're here, you kind of know where they're going, but they don't know, right? And they go into this thing. And the first one I said, we've got to start with the core values. And I hear a lot of companies say we have core values. And my next question is, what are they? And everybody looks around and nobody knows what they are. And I was like, why do you have them then? Because like Rodney said earlier, the core values are what you're all about. Like that decides who you want to hire, however you're supposed to be at the business. Like that's the foundation.
I didn't even know about core values until I met you. And then once, how when you don't know anything about something and then you hear about it and then all of a sudden you realize, oh, everybody else already has that, and then I started realizing that all these big successful companies out there have core values. And all these years, why didn't I know anything about these core values?
I always tell people in the kitchen business, because I see them sometimes beating themselves up. Like these owners, they're like, I didn't know about the KPIs. I didn't know about this. Why didn't I know about this? And the answer is simple. You've never been exposed to it. A lot of these people, just their entrepreneurial spirit, because they've been in the business doing a remodeling or whatever, drove them to do this. And that didn't really expose them to these things that could be really powerful tools within their business. And so that's what we're trying to do, like make their lives easier and their business more successful. But it was joyful to watch them go through the core value process where they're all engaging each other, talking about, and you start massaging it down more and more, and everybody gets more excited because they're basically saying, this is what we're about now. So pretty awesome.
That's really cool.
Do you guys have, like, at this point, any other things? And please feel free, anything that, like Steve, you're kind of going through now. And I thought Rodney brought it up well earlier, because sometimes when I'm working with the teams, you see this, right? Like, I want the results yesterday, or we're not there yet, or we're not that good at it yet. And I was like, it doesn't happen overnight. Right? You don't flip a switch and your business just changes from 12 years, way it was working, right, to overnight. It's a journey, and that journey never ends. Yeah. You're just constantly getting better and better. And one of the things people ask me about all the time is like, how do you find people? Like, people come to you. They want to work there when you have good, solid core values and culture, when you have systems and processes in place, because none of the other folks do. And you run a great business, they're like, that's where I want to work. And that's really helpful too, because it, attracts the top talent that's out there.
Yeah, for sure. I think one thing I've been practicing lately is the patience principle, or at least trying to practice. And it goes something like, exercising patience increases performance. And I've never really liked that kind of idea, because I'm like, well, then you're just being stagnant, or then you're just, maybe being lazy or not working as hard as you could be because you're exercising patience. But patience combined with the right plan actually is really incredible and powerful, because then you're working in the right direction on a process or procedure, all while knowing, like, here's my end game, but it's going to take some time to get there. It's going to take, a couple months to nail down the core values. And then it's going to take the next 3 months to work on the mission statement, and so on and so forth. And, for us right now, we're just pounding out procedures and policies, and it's just like, I just want this to be done. But then I have to pause and say, you know what? This is actually really good stuff, and let's make sure we get it right now so we don't have to go back and fix it later. So the patience principle is, you kind of mentioned it, like these things don't happen overnight. So
I wish you hadn't brought that one up, Rodney. I was trying to avoid that at all costs. First of all, I have no patience. But yeah, I mean, how many times these owners are just like, what's the business strategy? Where are you going? They're like, I don't know. I'm just trying to keep the boat afloat. And it's going out in the ocean like this. And being the leader of the ship, I mean, that's not a good feeling, right? You're basically trying to keep rowing like crazy, and you're in there with everybody else in the boat rowing, and no one's steering the ship. Yeah. Like Steve mentioned earlier, you're in the business, and no one's like, wait, don't we need to go this way away from the storm? And doing this will allow people like Steve to like bring it up for air a little bit and look where you're going, right, Steve?
Yes, yeah. One of the difficult things is stopping everything that's swirling around you at that point. You know, you want to make these changes, but you have to figure out, how do I get the time to make these changes while I'm still working on everything that's being thrown in my lap at the current moment.
Yeah.
So now I kind of step back, and even, you know, after hours, get my thoughts together, so that way when I get to work the next day and get with staff, we get to a meeting, there's already some new ideas in place. Trying to do it during the day, while some days you can't stop, you can't break away from the craziness that's going on.
You know, it happens, right? Like, it's just like I see it so much where the important stuff is what you want to get to. The urgent stuff is on your doorstep all the time, knocking. And you're looking at the door to walk through the important thing and work on your stuff. You're like, I have to answer this one.
Yes.
But unfortunately, if you never go through the important door over there, you're going to spend the rest of your life knocking on the urgent one. Because this is the one that makes the business better, but it's hard to do. It takes a discipline to do it, right, Rodney?
Oh, definitely. And I think the thing that I keep reminding myself with that is, so how do I execute some of these things really well and efficiently? And what keeps coming back to me is pause, you know, put a good plan in place, and then go after that plan. And sometimes I'm not the right person for the job. Sometimes there's somebody else that is way smarter than me that knows how to put this together already. So I can call them or get with them and say, hey, what are your thoughts on this? Is this something you'd be interested in putting together with me or working with me? And then we'll follow up next week. Really much like those traction level 10 meetings, you know, weekly check-ins, and just keep moving the ball down the road that way.
You just brought up like one of the best points you shared with me. Like, we were talking, which actually is the only one, but hey, we'll get to that. Now, we're talking about, like, he was talking about mentors, right? And the guy said, if you want to run a great business, you have to have a mentor. And then you said, or you can have great peers around you. But you can't do it on an island. You cannot. And I'm really, really trying to help dealers understand you're not alone. It doesn't mean you have to go out and figure it all out yourself. That's the hard way.
Yeah.
You know, like in the traction groups, we've got people from different companies now sharing best practices. Why does everybody have to reinvent the wheel when somebody else in the group's already done it?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Steve. Go ahead.
It's great being in that group. In a traction meeting, there's several other businesses, and they're in different parts of the country, so they're no competition to me. But throwing the ideas back and forth, or they'll bring up something that's happening to them, and I'll say, well, that's happened to me. This is what we've tried, or vice versa. It's just great to bounce ideas off of people that are in the same industry. I mean, there's no better group that you can solve issues with, other than rather than people that are having the same issues as you and solving them, trying to solve themselves. Then you guys can work together.
Yeah, and one of the things that it's not only taking your business to become process driven, right? Does anybody think there's going to be a lot of change, more and more change, boom, 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 faster, faster? Yep. Can you imagine trying to be a company that is dealing with this chaos stuff and then trying to change at the same time? And they don't have any of the skill sets of change because they've never developed them. Like, how quickly can they pivot? They won't.
Yeah.
As things speed up, it's really dangerous for a business to do that because all those people have you learned the processes when they go, oh, well, you know what? We got to become a hybrid. This is what we got to do. We got to get it done in 6 months. You don't start learning process improvement at that time. You build it now, because all this stuff is coming. And if you have 2 years under your belt, you're already going to be a lot better to be able to maneuver the landscape. And it's going to be very fluid.
Yeah, I love that. Great point.
Yeah. So, it helps in a lot of ways, but being able to be around long time and be successful. I don't ever scare you. I was like, the other thing that's so cool is if you start this journey, and unfortunately I see a lot of them that are just staying within their business model, you'll be able to, because you do it now, you're going to be the one that's able to take market share in the future and grow and provide great job for your people. And, that's kind of cool stuff too.
Yeah, totally.
You can get to the point where you can be a consultant.
It seems like, these consultants, Larry, and then it's like, hey, when can I call you? And I was like, call me 24/7. Like, yeah, this is a really easy gig. That's not all I do. And actually, I do it because I love it. Like working with Steve's team from the beginning, I went down and interviewed everybody, right? And now, I mean, honestly, I'm not just saying this. This is not the way I am. Like, I've become like personal friends with these people. Like, he has this girl, Gabby, that works for him. I know I keep bringing her up, and, she's kind of sitting in the shadows before and, just wasn't getting engaged. And, what's happened to her, Steve? I mean,
oh, she's grown tenfold. I mean,
yes,
literally in charge of all the marketing we've got going on here. We've got a huge event coming up Saturday, actually, here in Oviedo. That's where we live, in Oviedo. It's just off of Orlando. It's called Taste of Oviedo. And every year I'm one of the large gold sponsors. So we have a large booth, and we have to fill this big 20 by 20 space with all kinds of marketing items as people come by and talk with us. And Gabby's totally taken the ball and literally taken the ball. We have a bathtub that's going to go to the show full of little beach balls with our logo on it.
Oh, cool.
I would have never came up with that idea.
Yeah, she loves it. Like, I'll go, hey, Gabby, what about this? Yeah, I did it. What about this? Oh, yeah, I did it. I was like, all right, never mind. Just like she is living it. Like, you know how you see light in people's eyes? Her eyes just went from like this, boom. And every time I see her, I mean, look, if you're an owner, right? Yeah, it's great to have your own business, great to make money, but like from my perspective, like what the impact is that you're going to have on the people around you, help personally grow, because I think we all know that whatever they're experiencing at work in that environment, they spend a lot of time there, is going to influence the rest of their life.
Yeah.
Anybody that says they close that door and everything's done and they forget about it is, hey, they're not telling the truth. We'll just say that. Away from it. And I feel so sorry when I hear people go, oh, it's Monday, I got to go back to work, I hate my job. I was like, I am so glad I don't do that.
Yeah.
I just like, well, leave it. Life's too short. Find something you're passionate about. Get around people who are excited about something. And it makes just a world of difference. And watching her grow like that has been, and Ashley and, all the rest of the folks down there has just been amazing. So
yes. I like being able to have a place where people feel comfortable coming to work in the morning and they enjoy interacting with the other people that they're working with, and we have a great place here. Um, and it gets everybody else excited, and everybody wants to get involved, and that's the great thing um, about it, is the motivation that everybody has now. That a few years ago, like I said, I never had meetings, I never got the staff involved. I was like, this is the way we're going to do it. This is, now everybody has their own ideas, and we're incorporating their ideas, so they feel like they're actually a part of building this company and helping it grow.
That what you just said is huge, because in so many businesses, the leaders think they're responsible for making every decision, blah blah blah, right? I was like, wait a second, you got all these talented people around you that want to help. You just have to let them tap into that. They're there. They want to be part of it. They want to be engaged. I mean, the sad news in the United States is that only get 25 to 30% of people who are engaged in the work they do. That's a leadership issue. That's people who aren't realizing that those people aren't just there as a means to get to the sales goal. These are people who want to feel passionate like you do about what they're doing, right?
Yeah.
Make sure they're doing something purposeful and meaningful in their lives.
Yeah,
Oleg and I'll show you Oleg in a second over here. He's trying to hide behind the camera. I shouldn't give you a warning. You'll probably run out of here. But one of the cool things that we were talking about just even at lunch today was what we're going to start doing within our company is, everybody talks about their career path, like, hey, where you want to go. They don't do that often, but we're going to make sure that, like, if they have dreams in their lives, like, oh, I really, Steve bought an RV and, God knows where he's going to go. He's going to travel around the world with Budweiser stickers on the back and play a little podunk place, whatever he wants to do, right? That's his thing. And that's what he's been thinking about his whole life. He's like, that would be so cool. And a lot of people have those same dreams, like, gosh, and they're like reaching, it's like, man, I just wish I could get there. It's like, why not? And so we want to find out, like, this isn't hokey stuff, man. Everybody's like, oh, what's this? Read this? No, this is real people, real life. Find out what they want to do. Like, one of the people on Oleg's team wants to go live in Spain. And so we're all sitting around here. It's like, okay, as we spread across Europe, like, where are we going to pick places where we need to set up? And I'm like, I know. Let's go to Spain. And she's like, oh, no. It's like, what do you mean, oh, no? Isn't this what you want to do? You work hard. You're a great person. You're going to Spain. So we're going to have to open up. But you should see people when they're at work and they know that all the stuff that they do there isn't just it's just not the money. It gives them the means to do what they've wanted to do, right? Maybe it's
Totally.
like Rodney. He wanted to, like, get to the point where he could just write poetry every day under a tree and
eat an apple.
or let it hit him on the head, one of the two.
Yeah, one of the two.
But
Chad, that reminds me, there's this book called The Dream Manager by Matthew Kelly. And he talks about a company where they take the culture and its turnover's unbelievably bad. And then they hire this one person to help people work on their dreams. And they connect their dreams to what they're doing in the company. And their turnover rate just drops to almost nothing. And all these people are happy and they're reaching their goals and dreams. And it's just really cool story, a novel, but definitely worth reading as a business owner, or if you're trying to implement some kind of that culture in your company. It's a really cool book.
Yeah, I'm glad. I appreciate you bringing it up. I have to check it out myself, especially since this is one of the initiatives. I was talking to some managers at a hotel around here, and it was talking about, like, training, because I'm getting here. I'm trying to get, like, a understanding of the landscape around me. And it was one thing, like, or like putting more into training to help people. And they said, well, if we train them, then they're just going to leave. I was like, okay, so I have an idea. Let's do the alternative. We won't train them, and then they're going to stay That's going to be so much better of a scenario. Man, you got to turn this around. We're looking at it the wrong way.
Dad, is there any type of language barrier that you're facing?
Well, it's a good point, Steve. First of all, people don't in America, they don't understand what I say. So yeah, it's even harder for them. They're like, I can't tell you how many people have come up and said, I speak English, but I don't understand anything you're saying. Going to crew back home. They tell me that all the time. So I have to learn a little Polish, obviously, and I will. But hey, you know what? At the end of the day, we smile at each other a lot, and people are like, "What do you think about the Polish people? Like, aren't they kind of stoic, standoffish?" I was like, I haven't found that to be the case at all. They're like, "Well, when I walk by them, they don't ever say anything." I was like, "Would you say anything to them first?" Like, no. I was like, "Well, no wonder they're not." I was like, I haven't come up, well, a couple, but and talk to them and just start smiling. It's like, boom, like they're ready to just want to. It's like anybody else, right? It's come from a different environment, but it doesn't mean they don't want to be happy and smile and all those other things. So I'm learning a lot about other people too, and where they come from, and the cultures that they've been in through their lives, which it's a lot different from ours, right? And we're very fortunate, and it's great to see some of these things that are going to transpire moving forward and see people grow like that. I did have a question. So do you guys, anybody personally know Gary V? Like, you know who Gary V is, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And he's from Belarus, by the way, which is right next door.
Okay.
So I was going to ask him, I was like, what are you doing, Gary? Like, why don't you come over here, stop talking for a little bit and help me build this learning center? Hopefully he's got all these people like flocking over the internet all the time. So I hope this pops up somewhere. And I just want to hear from him. So, but you're welcome to join us, Gary, over here if you want to help out. That's a man of needs. Yes.
Didn't Chef Andre come over there and cook up some food for lots of people?
I'm sure.
Chef Andre?
Yeah, I haven't seen him. I'll start looking for him. But there's people from every walk of life, like everywhere. I'm running into all kinds of people, and seeing people like come together like that has just been really cool. There you go. You got some light on you now. Finally,
my kids are messing with me today.
Rodney's lighting crew finally showed up. He's got everything. There's like 12 people in his crew to get him ready for these things.
2 so far. They're both under 10.
We were going to show the screens here in a second. I just want to take a quick second and check in with David to see if there's any questions, and then maybe show what this process mapping looks like, because we talked a lot about it. I think sometimes if they haven't seen it, we kind of show how you start breaking down your business. First of all, David, do we have any questions? Someone's in there. Can anybody see what the question is?
You are the panel.
Oh, is that a question? I know this guy too. He's from Northern Virginia, but I don't see a question. Hey, David, could we get up that process map just so we could talk about that and run through a couple of those slides before we finish up here? Okay. So this is what we've been working on with a lot of companies. We come in there and we start from the beginning where the process map is. Like, I'm working with a group out of Northern Virginia, big appliance place there. Really great experience last time with them because they really love this. Like, they're like, we don't have this. It was like, okay, let's build it. And now they're all into it there. And so we have a group that's working on the customer leads. We map out all the general processes first, and then we have people rally around one of them, and they start breaking them down into sub processes. that is this one, but then everything that falls underneath it. And that allows people to start, really understanding what's going on now, what's working, and what's not working, and what changes. And the group that we have from there, we've got, you keep this in mind. When you bring these groups together, make sure it's somebody, if it's a bigger organization, bring somebody from every walk of life within your organization. We have someone from HR there. We have the trainer there. We have field reps. We have branch managers. We got designers. I mean, the list goes on. We have the support people that they have there, because you know what? They're all impacted by this stuff. They know as you're going through it where the next step is, what has to happen, and what, they're doing it day to day. So if you want to know somebody that understands what's working and what not, what about the ones that do it all the time? Let's bring them to the party. And plus, if you're going to make changes, like process changes within your organization, I remember a friend of mine, Dan from KSI, and they spent all this time and money putting these processes together. He called me up. He's like, "We've had this thing for 90 days and no one's using it. We rolled this thing out. We tried to do all things." That's like, did any of your team, like the people who are going to do this process, were they involved in like putting the process together? Nope. I'm like, wow, what do you think? Like, this is all new. They didn't even have any say. How are you going to get buy-in to this? So that's an important part of it. And it gets people, like I said earlier, engaged in what they're doing and passionate and creative. Like, they'll come in the morning like, "Oh, I thought about this yesterday." That's really cool stuff to see. Can we move to the next slide that shows the underlying processes? So these are what we call the sub processes, and guys, just feel free to jump in anytime. And when we get into these where you saw the processes, what I've had the appliance group out of there in North Virginia is the first group that they're in there. You know what they do? They write a vision statement for that step and what they're trying to achieve. Like, this is what we want. We want this to be like, have spectacular points for the customers. We want it to make it easy process, whatever that is. And then that's what they try to develop there.
That's really cool.
Yeah. It just came like while we were doing, I was like, "Hey, why don't you do this?" And so they all started writing down the vision statement for what they're working. I said, "Hey, if you ever get stuck, just pull your vision statement out. I'm sure that'll lend a hand in what you have to figure out next." And I said, "So here's group one. First thing you need to do, where does your step start and where does it end?" Right? Because we have the next step and they're working on something else. And once you figure that out, you need to talk to step number 2 and tell them where they start and you left off. And you need to have open communication, because if you're working on step 2 and you don't know what's happening in step 1, it doesn't make it too easy in step 2 to make sure they're all jiving with each other. And so we started doing that part, and it's really working well. It's like we were talking about earlier, like when you start getting in traction, it's kind of bumpy. Well, this is new for me too. And as we kind of go through all these things, we start coming up better ways to do it. Just you learn how to process improvements. Now you understand how to make traction better too. So it works for you, which has been really cool. And I think that's going to be ongoing for people down the line that want to do this stuff. Did you guys have any comments? Rodney, you're kind of the expert. You've been through this the most, going through these things. Do you have any feedback for folks that are going into this, and maybe some things to share with Steve?
Oh man, I'm certainly not the expert, but on the vision side of it, one thing that we were doing just this morning, talking about writing out processes, is putting some of them in PowerPoint and adding good visuals to them, because if it looks good, I'm the type of person, if it looks good, then I'll want to learn more about it. If it's just a bunch of words on a page, I'm going to have a really hard time wanting to read that document. So that was one thing that we talked about, is like, all right, find some really nice looking kitchen that we've done, or find some picture of a beach or something like that that's integrated through our vision overall of this thing and what we want to accomplish, and then we'll go from there. And kind of like you're saying, create a vision, and if you get stuck, you go back to it.
Right.
And inspires you to move on, because this stuff isn't easy to implement. It takes hard work, but it's certainly worth it, because this is how you get your company to the next level. This is how you get time to, I'm sure you talk to people all the time that haven't been on vacation in years and stuff like that. And this is how you get yourself in a position, or your business or your people in a position, where all those things are possible for them. They can live their dreams. If you don't have good processes in place, it's impossible to live your dreams, because you're going to be trying to leave for vacation and your phone's blowing up over these small little things that you can't control from your phone anymore. And you need to go back to the office and take care of it. So yeah, I guess that's my thoughts on it.
That's good, because people look at process stuff and they're like, oh God, this is going to kill me. And I'm like, no, make it fun, man. Like, everything you do should pop, right? If you want to separate yourselves, like, look at it as like a challenge. Like, what I did, like, in the first step and the second step, I was like, I'll just like keep an eye on you guys. I'm just curious, like, who's going to develop the best step? You know what? They're like looking at each other, and now they're like looking up. Don't look at it now. They share, but now they're like engaged in what they're doing out there, and it brings a lot of excitement to it, because yeah, it's hard work now, but guess what? Like, getting to your dreams isn't all. It doesn't just fall in your lap, right?
Oh, totally. And I was talking to one of our designers, and I was like, he's been with us for 12 years, and I'm like, hey, like, what you're doing now in sales versus what you used to do, is it harder or easier? And he's like, oh, without a doubt, easier, because there's so much support in the office. Our systems are better. Our marketing's clearer. We know who our target markets are. We dare to say no to certain projects that we didn't before. So it helps the whole team, like, without a doubt. Like, say yes to the best things, so you can say no to the okay things.
Right. Yeah. And this helps push that noise away.
Mm-hmm.
And nothing better than pushing the noise away, so
Seriously.
you can think and focus, right?
You know how many times I wish I would have said no to those certain things? And I still have that problem here,
Right. Because sometimes when you're just running crazy, you're like, okay, grab it. But when you bring some control into your business, and you start looking at it and say, that's not for us. I don't want to spend a lot of time doing a project we're going to lose money on, or you know what? Why?
Well, I see myself getting caught up into the situation where it's a return client or a friend that needs this or that, and it's like, well, I really don't want to do this, but I want to help them out, so that always kind of binds you up.
You know what you do with that, Steve? You send them to your competitor that you don't like. Here, deal with this fiasco.
I hope, Steve, none of your relatives are watching this.
We actually used to have that happen. A local competitor would send us, the customer with the special warranty replacement door. The company's out of business. Like, why are they sending them to us? And you find out, oh, we spent 6 hours with this person. We barely solved their problem.
Yeah.
Oh well, but there's so many good things that are coming from this, and nothing's. That's more fulfilling when you see people start going there. We'll kind of wrap it up here, but like Steve's, like you said, you start becoming friends with these people. You get to know each other. Like, seriously, it's just like, this is life. It's not like just business associates. I mean, I assume one day Rodney and I will become friends, but it's going to be a while.
There's a
It's a
chance.
very slow process. And every time I think we're gaining ground, I listen to him. It just pushes it further. But different story. So Steve was up in D.C. like what 2 weeks ago or something like that with his wife
Yes.
visiting the area. I was like, "You're in my backyard," and he was like, "I thought you were from North Carolina." I was like, "Well, I guess we aren't that good of friends. I live in Virginia." I was like, "Why don't you tell me? We'll go have lunch or something." And one of the things that we've been talking about is like where he wants to be in 5 years. Like a lot of people talk about it, and I'm hearing this stuff. I was like, that's cool. I was like, let's just do it. And they're like, well, I don't know. I was like, why? Why? We can do it. I promise you, we work together, we'll get there. All those things that you want become real in your life will happen.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's neat just by itself.
It's true. John Maxwell has a quote that says, "You're only 5 years from your biggest goals or dreams."
It's true. It's
It is true.
deciding whether you have the time. Well, I don't say that. It's whether you have the resiliency
Mm,
to get there.
yeah.
And that's a strong characteristic that I think people need to bring to this, because you're going to run across things like Rodney said earlier that are not always easy, and they may be challenging. And reaction is just throw it away. We've been doing this for a long time. It's been working. I don't have time for this. That's probably
Yeah.
not a good decision.
That's the hard part is change. People are set in their ways. I'm set in my ways. I've been doing something this way for 20 years, and all of a sudden something new comes along. It could be better, but it's hard to make that change. You have to be ready to try new things and make changes.
Mm,
You got to go in with this thing with that mindset. If you go, oh, I think we're going to try it. We'll see how it works. It will fail.
mhm.
You go, I'm doing this. I heard a lot of good things, so we just got to grab it and do it. And that resiliency thing that I was like reading about how important that is within an organization. That when you are riding down a road and you hit that first bump you can't go over, you don't just say, well, we tried to turn around and go back. Or like that's what most people do. If you want to separate your company, hit that first one and get through it. Then hit the next one and get everyone you go through. Everybody else is still back at the first bump. But your team is like, yeah, tough things, but we're still going to get this done.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, you look back like anything you've achieved and go, you know what? Getting over those bumps was well worth it.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
It gets me. I see all these other businesses, like a lot of contractors that I work with, subcontractors, and they just flying by the seat of their pants, and they've been doing it, and they're not up for change. It's they don't have the motivation to take it to the next step. They're complacent where they are with that business. You can't be like that. You want to grow.
No, grow or die. And just to that, and then we will wrap, is that you could survive on that before because things weren't moving very fast. Like I always say, when they're moving 5-10 miles an hour, everybody's going that speed. So, if you're moseying along too with the rest of the group, you'll stay in the herd. But when the herd starts to pick up speed, especially the front of the herd, going 50, 60, 70, 100 miles an hour, and you're back there at 5 and 10, at some point, you're never going to catch up with the rest of the herd.
Mhm.
Or, and I hate to see that happen. And, so you've got to accelerate it now. Change is hard, but if you don't change, you don't grow. And I'm not just talking about your business. I'm talking about personally.
Yeah.
And if you don't grow personally, how are you going to be a better leader? How are you going to help other people, which I hope business ownership is supposed to be about.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any other any questions or closing remarks or?
So the only comment I want to make with that, the growing thing, that is recently I just finished up my employee reviews for the year, which I'm way late on. So, but the question that I was like, what is one of the most important questions I can ask them? And one of them was, are you growing? And just let them answer. And I think that's a good question for all of us is, are we growing? You know, and then if the answer is no, okay, what can I do differently? Who can I engage with? What groups can I get with? Who can I hire? Can I hire a coach, a consultant to join my team so I can grow? Or what books can I read? That kind of stuff. So that's my only kind of thought there is, yeah, we all want growth is the number one thing somebody wants in a job. So it's our job.
And in your life, hopefully, too, right?
Yep.
We just started something, and I will promise it is, and like we're just getting into this within our company. And so the key is when you walk up to somebody and you ask them, what are you working on? That means they want to know, what are you working on, like with yourself? Like what you said earlier about patience. And you said, if you learn patience, you can be more productive. And it's not just about the whole thing as leaders. If you can learn patience when you're working with people, you're going to build better relationships too.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean I'm going after that. I got other stuff to work on. I got like a learning center here to build, and I want to learn patience with that. But I really want to thank you guys for joining us. I really enjoyed this. It's been a good discussion, and
it's been awesome.
Love working with both of you guys. Look forward to some pretty exciting things. Rodney's plane is going to pick him up here shortly and bring him over to Warsaw. And, I will keep everybody posted on what's going on here. I think it's neat just to kind of see some of the things and what we're going to try to do and keep everybody in the loop. And I know I'm excited about it. So
well, let's do it again.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Let's do it. I want to keep this stuff going, right? And I definitely want to bring this part of it in. And if anybody's listening to this, knows Gary V, tell them to get over here.
Type Gary V in the comments.
Exactly. So anyway, you guys have a great day, and thanks again, and we'll catch up with you guys soon.
All right, thanks.
All right, see you guys later. Bye.
Peace out.